Bienvenido de nuevo de la Valisights Podcast. Welcome back to the Valisights Podcast, where finance meets AI and the future of strategy is built by the leaders who adapt fastest. Today's guest is someone who lives at the intersection of modeling precision and strategic execution. You know him on LinkedIn, you've seen him a ton. Marco Villarreal is a fractional CFO with the CFO Centre and one of the sharpest minds I've come across when it comes to financial forecasting and decision modeling. What sets Marco apart isn't just his global experience or technical depth. It's the way he brings data science, financial strategy, and leadership discipline into a single framework that helps companies make better decisions faster. From navigating international M&A risk to building scenario models that give CEOs true clarity, Marco is raising the bar on what it means to be a finance leader, a modern finance leader in an AI powered world. In this episode, we talk about why most forecasting models fail in real world conditions, how to close the gap between data science and finance strategy, the cognitive biases that distort financial decisions. I can't wait to chat about that. What AI can and can't do when it comes to forecasting, and why storytelling still matters in the modeling process. And of course, how platforms like Valisights are helping CFOs and fractional leaders and private equity scale insights at speed. Let's dive right in, Marco. Bienvenido, señor. Welcome to the Valisights Podcast.
Muchas gracias, Alberto. Thank you very much for the so kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to be part of this podcast, which is just a great podcast. I really recommend it for everybody to look at every single chapter. A lot that you can learn of it. Thank you very much, Alberto.
Well, I
A pleasure.
really appreciate you. I feel so lucky that you're on the show. I've been following you for some time. You did a recent webinar. I was so impressed. And especially you were definitely scrubbing through Valisights and some other things. We just got to chatting about modeling, and you have an impressive not only background, resume, but brain. I just love chatting with you because you see things different and you challenge the status quo. Let alone I get to practice my Spanish, as people probably don't know. My family is from Lima, Peru, y Chihuahua, Mexico, y español era mi primer idioma. So I probably need to practice some more. I'm sure people got that from the get go, but I love being able to practice with you, sir. But I'm excited to chat. This is going to be
Perfect. You practice Spanish. I practice AI with you.
well.
Let's
We'll
make
do it
it.
at a different time because I can't do it on the spot now. We'll have to edit this so much. But let's talk about you. What originally drew you to finance, and what keeps you excited about it still today?
It was I would say a coincidence somehow. I was an engineer. I had just
Makes
finished
sense.
uh, my master in engineering in Canada, McGill University,
Wow.
and I was working back in Mexico at a time, and I wanted to do an MBA. I knew I needed. It would be a good complement to my career as an engineer at that time. I thought, and then I joined a company, a corporation. It was at Cemex, because at that time Cemex sponsored for scholarships, and I couldn't afford myself. So I went into the strategic planning department. I joined the strategic planning department, and 6 months into my role, I was sent to Spain, and I didn't come back to Mexico probably 10 years later, right? And then I spent all the time in the strategic planning, modeling for M&As and for the budget. I did a strategic planning for pretty much in the operation in the merging of the companies, and also looking for opportunities to grow. And this is how I became into the into the finance, and probably, and after many years, probably more than 30, being a CFO for many, probably today is I have a very interesting job, which is a fractional CFO from the CFO Centre, which we are all the time working with the owners and the CEOs that are having growing companies, and being part of the companies is really a blast,
It's
right? Because you are
amazing.
in the strategic decision making all the time, and I really enjoy it. Meeting people like you, your company, and all your colleagues and learning from them. I think I never stop. Nobody stop learning anytime, and it's a great. The thing that you discovered today is amazing. Keep me really, really on my toes.
I love that. Well, I know a lot about the CFO Center, highly regarded, trusted brand, of course, because of people like you. And not only are you impressive about what and what how you educate and what you deliver, but also you're a student. And that's what I appreciate about you. I know every conversation that we start together, it's about something that you learned, that you were reading, that you were consuming and watching. And I really appreciate about, I mean, 30 plus years later, right? And you have a ton of experience. You are the subject matter expert, yet you continue to sharpen the saw and be the tip of the spear. And I love that. Talking about financial modeling, I mean, you know so much about it. What's the biggest mistake that you've seen throughout your years that companies make when building financial models?
Uh, for the short term financial modeling, probably that is more in the budgeting processes. You have a lot of human biases.
Hmm.
Yeah, you have tendencies. You have a specific goal to achieve, and that put sometimes the model a little bit under pressure. And but when you are forecasting long term, such as acquisition, the major impacts on the model are external factors.
Hmm.
And I think today we are in their way to have much augmented capacity, but before it was not. You tend to have some average on the major economic indicators and market growth, so on and so forth. Yeah, you have, in 4 years is going to be election. Okay, let's assume there is no growth. And that's it. That's what the tool that we had at the time.
Hmm.
And that's what is make us to fall but at the end. But for that, you have to balance out your assumption that you make because still it's not a crystal ball, but you have today an enormous amount of capabilities to do something new, right? With the AI. I think these 2 points are the one that put a pressure on the model to reach and achieve the goal that you have, right?
Right.
And the other one is a know to know specifically the key factors in your models.
Hmm.
The key factor in your model, the knowledge reduce risk by far. You have to identify what are the key factors, either in budget or acquisition, and you have to make sure you have the most knowledge about that in the target or whatever, and you have to have the models that model that piece.
Well, I can't wait to chat about AI and how AI within finance is narrowing the variance, right? We, as finance folk, we want to make sure that we're building models that, once executed correctly, right, and the behaviors are done the right way, where the variance is as small as possible, and that's truly the goal for precision, right? So that which we know our models, our forecasting models, are actually useful and working. But as you mentioned, as you get assumptions in, as you get your key factors or KPIs, there's still breakdown in execution. And in your experience, why do so many forecasts break down in the execution? Aside from some of the biases, right, and some of the external factors, anything else that you've seen that actually break down forecast models?
The assumptions, as simple as that.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it doesn't help that much that answer, but it's the
Oh, it
assumptions.
helps.
But behind the assumptions, you need to understand, especially in operate when you have a transactions that are not public company, just a multiple of EBITDA or financial or something like that, but a multiple for transaction that you are already looking in the operation that I don't know up to five, probably $2 billion that you have still the control of the operation that you are doing. You have to understand what are the key drivers, what are the decision makers that you are going to that move the needle.
Hmm.
And on that one, when you bring the team for the due diligence, on these specific points, you have to bring an expert. Normally, you bring an expert in all the areas, but they don't have the expertise on due diligence.
Right.
What you face on the time constraint, on the amount of information, it is different. Then actually, I have a post on my LinkedIn that said companies don't buy companies, people buy companies, right? Then you have to choose the right people who doesn't overestimate synergies. It's unbelievable, but it's common. When you go and see something, and I can tell you, if you are in a restaurant business, when you go to another restaurant, you start picking up the mistakes like that. It's the same when you buy a company. It's very easy to see the mistakes, but you never go deep behind what is behind these mistakes.
Mm.
And they tend to be, you tend to have sometimes overstated on synergies. Some of them never happen. Fortunately, you are conservative, so they balance out.
Right.
But I think the best way to address this breakdown, now you have more tools, augmented tools with AI,
Right.
but knowing your business, right, and having the right people in the process to understand the key drivers and making sure you figure it out each one of them and you model it very well and make sure you are nailing down, right?
Yeah,
That's
I
the way
love
to.
what you're saying there because I think finance is being challenged more than ever before to where the finance leader needs to come behind from behind the computer and actually understand the business model, actually get boots on the ground, meet the people, learn about the operational workflows, have some type of cross-functional resource allocation and relationship management, right? Because to your point, if you don't do that, how do you know what the assumption should be? How do you know what the key factors are? Right? It's very hard to do. And I love what you said. You need to bring on an expert. There's a lot of owners, and you and I both know this, where they build a budget or they think they're building some type of a pro forma forecasting model and it's just not there. The variances are way off. You're talking minus 10, minus 20% from what actually is happening. I'm like, look, because it's just a bad model. There might be some execution in there, operationally, but this is bad to begin with because you're not thinking about all these different layers, all these different things that should be within your, let's call it the assumption tab, right? Or your drivers tab. And it's just a financial literacy thing too, aside from knowing your business. I think that is key because the finance leaders that are listening to this, you have to start thinking about that. I talk a lot about storytelling, but also, Marco, and you're mentioning it, you have to understand all aspects of the business for your forecasting model to actually be worth something, to actually be good. And so, but the only thing, and I wanted to ask you, I was excited to ask you about this is 2025 in this world of tariffs, we hear the word uncertainty. And I think about FP&A so much this year because how do you, and I'd love to know what you think, how do you get around, how do you navigate this uncertainty? How do you forecast with and for this uncertainty in 2025? And who knows, maybe there's a spillover in 26 as well.
I mean, you have to, there is no other thing, but you have to study as much and everything aspect as you can
Mm.
because knowledge mitigate risk. And if you see risk, then you tend, because you don't have the knowledge, tend to, I mean, sometimes kill the deal, right? Then you have to understand, you talk about financial literacy. Yes, you understand the business. Now you have to translate it
Mm.
into the financial modeling, into the Excel, so on and so forth, to be able to run all the different scenarios. And then by playing with that, because people at the end, when you make these decisions, or if you can make it, how to take this decision, is because you play around with the scenarios. And they say, okay, this is something that I can live with, or I can extract, or what is the minimum risk, what is the payback. There are many factors on the financial side that are measured, right? And your experience, what you have done, right? What you have done plays a key role.
Yeah. You know
There
what
are
you remind me of, and I'd love to go into. I remember a conversation we had where we started talking about types of models, types of
yeah.
forecasting models, and oh my goodness, I was it was like a master class in forecasting. I'm like, you came out with like 9 different, 10 different. And you had this massive deck of, of all the things you've accumulated. I'm like, okay, I need to learn more. What you remind me though, what you just mentioned is scenario based modeling, and there's and you know this, right? You walk into or you lift up the hood to an organization and you ask, okay, show me maybe some preliminary budgeting or pro forma or model, and you get shown, and maybe it's good, maybe it's not, and then you ask, okay, well, where's the model when sales drops 10% or there's some type of shock to the system or external factor or maybe internal factor? Or maybe in a favorable side, what happens when we lift up price by, X amount of dollars or percentage points or what have you? And you realize, whoa, we're still at ground zero. There's no contingency. There's no scenario based. And you're reminding me of that, how important it is to be prepared. I used to hear, I had a mentor of mine once say, I actually said it quite a bit of times, is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And I'm like, hmm.
Yeah.
And you can take that within forecast modeling for sure, is make sure that you're prepared. Maybe you need 5 different, 8 different types of scenario base. And that's when the collaboration takes place, is what could go wrong or what could go really right that would maybe adjust this model. So that's not this reforecasting thing. It's actually, we know we have a contingency plan for this. We know what will happen if X happens or Y happens. So, but let's get into types of forecasting models and some of the ones that you use the most, and when do you use them?
Okay. First, you have to slice and dice the different needs that you have in finance.
Mhm.
Okay. You have everything related to the statutory, everything that you will pay taxes.
Right.
You cannot come to IRS to say, I pay $10 of taxes because ChatGPT told me that. You're out,
Mm,
right?
that is
Business
hilarious.
with the banks until that the data governance doesn't change. There are very strict things to do. For instance, you use the Bayesian model
Hmm.
for the cash flow because it's based on historical numbers, on historical trends when they are going to pay. You already have some accounts payable, you already have some account receivable. Then, based on the history, then you apply the Bayesian model. This is for short term based on what you and it just happened or has happened in the past.
Mhm.
But there are another models, for instance, multilinear regression. That was the basic many years ago, but today the capabilities you have probably three, four, five inputs. Today you can have 60, 50, 40, right? Then on that one, it becomes too much that you cannot manage that. Then you have to use penalized regression.
Mm.
Then you have to have some feeling, some hint, and then you can. And this is more for FP&A because on the first one you have 100% the storytelling.
Right.
On the other one, you can and you make decision based on that. On that one, you have to have all the numbers as much. On the second one is in more in FP&A. Then you are talking about another different model that help you to make strategic decisions. On that strategic decision, that where you can use it because again you can switch one way or the other. Or as time passes, you can start learning and you can start switching. But and then these are the what I see the different type of models. Second, it is not only about the model. Then
Mm.
you have to go to the data that you have available.
Right.
That's why I had this webinar with Daniel Kate.
Yeah, can you
because
walk us through that a little bit? And we'll get back to some of the different type of models and then the difference between discipline and having flexibility. But let's walk through that webinar. It was outstanding. I had an opportunity. I carved out some time. I'm like, I gotta listen to my guy Marco. I'm gonna learn something here. We're gonna use it over at Valisights. Walk us through who was it with, who was hosting it. It sounds like there's a second opportunity to speak about what you were. Talk us through the topic and what you chatted about.
okay, basically what we have found is we have reached the point that we communicate the two disciplines. We decided to work to present this together because actually this is what you need. You need two disciplines, Albert.
Hmm.
One discipline alone on the finance side doesn't, you will not get to exploit the benefit of AI.
Right.
Yes, they can take the data, they can bring it all upside down. They understand the mathematical indicator that comes out of that, but they don't know the impact on the discipline which I bring.
Mhm.
Neither I know what or how specific. I mean, I know a lot, but I let them to do it. I'm not trying to do that because I need to understand. This is a new language. This is now let's speak in French. We started speaking in Spanish and English. Now let's speak in French. This is another language that we need to learn. And finance has been learning all the time. Uh, I mean, we can talk about history. Fray Luca Pacioli, 1944,
Mm,
1494, when he invented, established the double journal entry.
right.
Then finance has been evolving, doing and applying and implementing new things. To me, AI is another new language that you need to understand. When
Why do
you
you
understand,
think? Why do you think so many people are, and maybe even people listening, right? And that have been listening to certain episodes to pick up, like, what is this? What is this artificial intelligence? What is going on here? And is finance ready for it? Why do you think so many people are so abrasive, so closed-minded to it? Is it because it's not foolproof yet? It's not, right? It's not 100% accurate. No one is saying, "Yep, it's AI. We're going to send this in. If it was wrong, it's AI's fault. It's chat, like you were saying earlier, it's Chat GPT's fault." Is it that? Is it the fear, or is it change management? What do you think it is? Why is it still not as fast as the pace at which finance is adopting AI is not as quickly as AI is evolving and getting even better?
we are storytellers, okay? But our script are numbers.
Mm,
We can make a Netflix series. If you show me a P&L balance sheet, right? And with these two statements, we create a history. We can say where they are good, what they need to do, what is the trend during the year. You, we can build. This is our script to say to convey a message.
mm,
We depend on the numbers, and we bring this financial and economic impact of the operation. If you take out the numbers, if you take out the script, how are you going to, what are you going to say? But if you understand and you start learning how this new language operates, and you can bring it, and then you can continue your storytelling, then you feel better.
right.
Then you can apply. That's why I say, okay, there are some things that you cannot play: statutory, taxes, banks, so on and so forth. On that one, it is what it is. On the other one, you will learn, and then you will translate.
Well,
As we be, yeah,
what I
eh,
got from your webinar was this bridge between data science and strategic finance, right? Data science, FP&A, strategic finance, and that we're seeing because of the technology now, the ability to bridge it all. That's what I really enjoyed about how you were challenging traditional ways of doing things. And you mentioned there's the history of finance evolution over evolution. It just has changed throughout time, and we're going through another one, another big monumental change here, and we're realizing a lot of the different areas of the finance back office are starting to intertwine, right? They're starting to bridge. Can you walk us through a little bit about that on data science and strategic finance?
I think is they are complementary.
Hmm.
They bring two things together that none of them is worth alone. When you bring the two together, when
Mm.
you really know how to use the data, you know how I'm just thinking how much I could have done it in financial projection in my M&As if I had an, a model who helped me on AI. I
Hmm.
mean, imagine that you are now in the business, you're going to be acquiring a company who sell coats.
Hmm.
What is your market knowing that the planet is going hotter and hotter? How do you forecast this volume? Today you can do it. In the past you cannot. Then is we have something else out there that we cannot use, and we have to learn how to use it to take advantage of that one. When you see that I mentioned that on the podcast on the webinar, we have over 250 tools of finance and accounting. And I say, okay, yes, I used to do that. Yes, but I have 90 people reporting to me in 5 countries. And today I can do it with a small team, very small team. With Balance, I can do it.
We can, and we're
You
going to
are
continue to do
doing that. And you are bringing the same level of expertise and professionalism, and then you are at the age with anyone else.
that. Hmm.
It's something like I have to learn it. If I want to be a good fractional CFO, I have to learn it
Well,
because it's a
here's
tool there.
here's why I'm challenging everyone to learn it too, especially and you know this very well coming from the M&A space, and we spend a lot of time with private equity. But you know this, there's time, and depending on what side of the seller buyer aisle you are in, there are times when the buyer overpays. There are times when the seller unfortunately doesn't get the multiple that they were looking for. And a lot of times, aside from time ruining a deal or being leveraged against one or the other, it's the due diligence process. It's the model. It's the financial model. It's so important. And so, whether it's Valisights and there's other great organizations, man, I'm such a fan. I always believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. But for Valisights in particular, we know when you introduce AI in partnership, and let's say with a fractional CFO or the subject matter expert, we know the precision is better. Obviously, the speed, the reduction in manual work, so the deal gets done much faster. But we're talking the ground truth numbers, valuation, and we know that variance is, so you're getting better deals. That's what I'm excited about too. And there's been a lot of buzz for those that have used us, and some other tools as well. We're it's becoming an even better and even playing field for both sides of the aisle, which I think that is great. That's some great news.
Yeah, and it's not only reducing the gap, it's the level of augmentation, capabilities analysis, and new variable that you can bring to the table. They say, yeah, yes, now I have it.
Right.
Before you say, yeah, what is going to happen if whatever something happened, or the president, or the markets, or the oil industry, whatever that impact globally, before you cannot do anything,
Mm.
or you do very little, or you do very one step to make the decision or adjustment. Today you can do it, and this is the learning process, and we have to keep digging in, and learn out of that. I
Well,
think
I think
that
you've
amazing.
mentioned different ways that AI does extremely well, especially within finance modeling. What do you think it doesn't do well? AI cannot replace this when it comes to modeling or even decision making.
I'm not afraid that AI will replace me, but I'm afraid that a CFO who knows AI replace me.
Hmm.
It's a tool. It's something that you have to embrace. Now, and there are things that AI will never replace until on the statutory side until we change the data governance. And
Hmm.
there are things that they will not change. Taxes are even more strange and strange. I mean, the statutory and the FP&A used to be that close. Now today is going like that.
Right.
Just go one direction, and the FP&A, and they don't change the intercompany charges, so on and so forth,
Hmm.
because you have to explain the IRA, blah blah blah,
Well, the
and then
ASC and GAP, yeah.
you cannot move. And this, you ask for more flexibility to make decision for the business, right? This type of statutory is not going to be a good one. Now, neural network. Neural network are, if you put 10 plus 15 in the Excel, you have an algorithm who add the two.
Hmm.
If you put 10 plus 15, it's a probability you have 25. They are two independent, completely different routes. And I think there are some of them that always will need for years to come still the statutory. But they are tools
Hmm.
that you can apply mistakes, frauds in the statutory that help you to do the job quicker and faster, and you are doing it in Valisight. I don't have to tell you about that one.
Well, no, and
The,
I love that, and I hope people rewind that last part as you talk about neural networks because it's getting even better, and that's more of the technical stuff, right? And you're great at it, and I think people need to highly recommend you go and research and learn some more, so that you start understanding where and how the power of AI will definitely take over the entire finance function. There's and what's beautiful about math and finance is rules to the game. And AI, well, in a lot of ways, it's creative and it really doesn't do well with the rules of the game. And in a lot of ways, it does do really well. We know this about automation as well. Coupled with AI, it's very, very powerful. I wanted to ask you because I'm sure. I'm
yeah, but before that,
Yeah, yeah.
Albert,
Tell me.
yes, it will do something, but the people, I mean, young people say, I will be replaced. On the contrary, you will be stop doing routinary work, and then
Mm,
you will be doing something value added instead, right?
I
Is
agree.
it taking finance? Is taking the cruncher number piece? Still, you need to check. Still, you need to know. Still, you need the fundamental. Actually, it challenges you more from the academic point of view to learn more, the theory, so you can use it and you can leverage the AI, so you can go to the following step.
So I was going to ask you that in the education landscape, right? In the university, a little bit of high school, but more so when you go to college and you go to a university or what have you. What needs to be taught less, knowing that AI will take over? And what do you recommend that the modern finance leader or those that are looking to, grow within their career pathing and their professional life as a finance executive that they should learn more of?
They should learn more about fundamentals on the topics that you take in the school.
Hmm.
Deeper in the root, especially math, and understanding why the application probably, and then you have to know what AI is doing. You have to know what the problem, because otherwise you become a commodity.
Right.
You're just saying what everybody else is saying. I was reading, I was listening one podcast of one professor of MIT. I don't remember his name. He teach finance, and accounting. He's in this discipline, and he asked the students go and use AI.
Mm.
And they come back to them say, I need to learn more about accounting. They have to understand the outcome. I think it's gonna be deeper the knowledge on the fundamentals, probably less on the existing application. Why? Because the application they are changing. But if you don't understand the fundamentals, you cannot make an interpretation. You cannot play human on the loop. You cannot decide where the human on the loop should be and why.
It's cracking me up because I can just see the finance leader who uses AI, and of course, it makes things easier, and of course, it gets you to the result faster. Obviously, scrub it, right? As I always say, I'll get you 85 today. In 2025, we'll get you 85% of the way there in most cases. Scrub it still, right? Still have human in the loop. But what I crack up is you'll be in a boardroom, and this is when it goes wrong. You use AI, awesome. You scrub through it and you feel great about it. You go and you present it, and someone asks, well, why is that? Can you walk me through the fundamentals of why that is? You're just, and then I see the response. I used the Chat O3 and the coding. Let me get back to how it was thinking. I was like, oh no, this is going bad. So to your point, regardless of what task will be replaced and how you will be augmented, you still can't get away of the mathematical fundamentals. Why I love math. The
Yeah.
mathematical fundamentals. You want to understand it. And we're not saying, and for those that want to, great, but I'm not saying learn how to build AI. You don't need to be a developer or a coder or what have you. Well, now there's vibe coding, but still understand the fundamentals of what your profession is. That's what you're saying, right?
Definitely. And let me tell one thing, one example. You should not use yourself as an example but this is what happened to me.
Yeah, tell me.
I mean, I had my master's degree in engineering was stochastic modeling.
Hmm.
And I used multilinear regression, three variables, period. And I was happy. And AI brought me to learn six different mathematical models
Well,
so I can understand and I understand where to apply it.
hmm.
Then AI challenge you to
Oh,
learn more the fundamentals. If we have talked 6 months ago about that one, I will talk to you about the stochastic modeling to design wastewater treatment plant, my friend. Today I'm talking to you, right? 6, 7 different models, mathematical models, and you can scrub and you can accommodate the different things that you have. And then you have to check if the data makes sense and there is not bias on the data and many things that they have to do the data scientists. But this is a new language. And this is something that we need to learn.
but
If you want,
what you're saying is actually using this intelligence to teach you how to use the intelligence using the fundamentals to actually teach, challenging us. That's so interesting. I've never thought about it that way, right? It's like, well, I want to learn the fundamentals of this model. Well, use AI to do it, and then use AI to learn how to use AI within that model. That's
yeah,
so interesting. I mean, that's the power of it, right?
yeah, I took this course in the Leipzig University and I bought it and other courses that I have and I was using Notebook LM, get all the information and I was reading it and I got a summary, 50 pages summary, imagine the summary,
Hmm.
but that's how I learned. And this is what AI brings you to the table and say it is you're afraid and you don't move and you just stick with the data governance that we have today, or you try to understand it, so you bring it to the table and you use it and for my own benefit, right? Let's put it this way. And I have a very good friend who's a lawyer who he told me, I mean, you have no idea how much I spend on AI just to research, but I still write the contracts.
Wow.
But the benefit of that, obviously, he takes advantage of whatever, everybody does that,
Hmm.
right? But we have to see it as a tool. It's
Yeah.
something else that we need to learn how to use it
Yeah.
to speak about that. Because at the end, you will communicate this, into the numbers. Today, you communicate what is the working capital, days of account receivable, days of accounts payables. You translate that into the team, so make decision. This is something new that you have to translate,
Sure.
but you have to understand first.
Well, let's move away from the technical, and I love the transition that you're influencing here around the EQ side, or your ability to communicate and storytell. And I can only imagine, right, with your level of experience, there have been, I'm sure, plenty of times when there's been a C suite executive, a CEO, who pushes back or challenges your model's output. What's your approach? How do you get through that? Especially if you feel like the CEO is coming from more of a subjective gut feeling, maybe not necessarily a mathematical approach. Maybe there's not really a full understanding behind it, but from a gut, I know this business better. That is not going to work. How do you navigate through that?
First, how do I navigate on that situation? You have to show the risks.
Hmm.
At the end, he's making a decision because he has a gut, or the owner of a company. I want to do this. Hey, okay, let me show you the risk.
Hmm.
Perfect. You go for that. And sometimes, and I have it one of my books, the 50% of the M&A success is what the owner wants, period. If you're trying to bring something else, forget it. He has to like it day number one.
Right.
When you have that and you have your own analysis, just show, okay, this is based on this of what we know, these are the risks and these are the upsides and downsides by an acquisition. Now, using a model, normally I'm more inquisitive or more try to go deeper. Normally I go deeper than the CEO,
Mhm.
right? And try to cover all that one or get his insight. At the end, you're a team. You have different perspective. You have one. You hear the rest. You bring it into and you try to modeling and just with this type of analysis, Albert. That's how
I love it.
you show.
And I like that, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you always need to go win the battle, but feel good that you prepared your decision maker as best as possible, showing the upside, showing the risk, showing we're going back to scenario based modeling too, right? Showing the different scenarios of what can happen when things go well, when things don't. From
Exactly.
there, you can only
Exactly.
take it so far, right? At the end of the day, sometimes
Exactly.
there's the powers that be, right? There's a CEO or owner for a reason, and if you feel great
Exactly.
about the homework that you did,
Is it impacting the acquiring company or just the target? Okay, you're going to invest 50 million. Okay, you're going to lose 50, but you will impact a $2 billion company because X, Y, and Z. Watch out.
right?
You assess risk assessment.
So you on LinkedIn too, and in multiple chats with you, you've always chatted about storytelling. People love stories. It's so true within finance and outside of it. But it's now more important than ever before to be able to storytell what the numbers are saying because there's so much emphasis on financial literacy and so much speed of getting financials in front of the eyes of decision makers. The problem though is they don't necessarily, in many cases, don't understand fully. So
Yeah.
we, the modern finance leader, needs to be able to say, this is what it means. Here are the insights, and here's what I recommend you should go do. How do you recommend weaving the narrative, the storytelling into the numbers?
I learned, especially now as in the fractional CFO, that you have different clients,
Right.
is how do they make decisions?
Mm,
What information do they need to make decisions? What is the speed that they need to make decisions? Sometimes, hey, I can have the value of my car or property or whatever every 5 minutes. Yes, but it takes me 5 months. So I just decided to sell whatever every year. I mean, you have to understand the decision making process that they have. I have one client that on the operational side, He has been all the time in the operation. He doesn't need to know anything, in theory, and on this the day-to-day decision. He understands the impact on the financials.
Mhm.
Then you is kind of a I wouldn't say an art, but is the recipient of this story and the speed and how often. And you can go very sophisticated with the analysis, but it doesn't help to make the decision day to day is this is worthless.
Yeah,
And,
spot on.
and you have to try. In another case, I presented 4 or 5 different formats, and he liked 3, and the other 4 he doesn't need it to make decision because he was making decision for 25 years, and he doesn't want to change.
Mm,
Then, unless and normally the report that we kept out at the end is because there was a risk
right.
or something really new for them. Yes, I like this one. Then we are humans in the end.
Well, we have a lot of those that spent a lot of their careers that listen to the show in accounting, and they're realizing because of many of the tasks that are being taken over by, automation's been around for a long time, but now AI and AI tools, they're realizing in order for me to continue my pathway, maybe even to the CFO route or what have you, finance executive is, I need to get into FP&A. I need to understand how what I was doing with all of this inflow, outflow, all of this accounting data that is translating into FP&A. I need to start learning that side of the business. So, what's your advice for some of those young professionals, or maybe it's later on in the career and it's ready to transition and move on to a different side of the finance world? What when they're building their first strategic models, what's your advice for them? And is there any specific techniques that you'd recommend that some of these professionals or future CFOs should master?
The first thing that I will say for these controllers, I will say they should be feel proud of being a controller. Because if you don't have a good controller and accounting, you don't have FP&A.
So true.
I mean, and this is very badly needed in a corporation.
Hmm.
This is the first point, number one. The second one is okay, is how the business outside, what is the information that they need and the timing and the type of information to make more money. Look at that and give these KPIs so they are their actions, how much they are implement or are impacting the business. And for that you have to go forget about what you know
Hmm.
for a moment, but keep doing it. Right? Don't stop doing it,
Won't
please.
lose it.
Don't lose it because it's needed because these are the days. And this is where I was telling you the statutory stay on one side and the other one is moving to the right and probably even the statutory moving to the left because of all the requirement that we have on the tax authority. But you have to understand the business from the business perspective, how they make decisions, help them to make decision so make more money. They want to spend something, okay, let's work around on our return on investment of what you are doing. They don't know, okay, bring the extra expenses, show it to them. Okay, you're gonna sell, you need that much to sell to recover the investment. You can bring this additional information to the sales team or to the marketing team. Try to identify what you are doing. Another thing very important is when you do your own journal entries, identify from day number one
Mm.
as much as possible. Use codes or something like that that can help you to identify different actions that the people is making. On the statutory, you don't need so much of a breakdown of information. You can have payroll for the whole company, but make sure you identify per department by cost center or by activity. Still one line in your P&L, but then you have information that will help you to come and do this analysis for the people.
No, that's huge and so important. And you actually kind of fed my next question I had for you is this cross-functional type of approach and your ability, whether you're the controller or accountant moving into an FP&A role or an FP&A leader, moving to learn more about how to be a strategic thinker. It requires your ability not only to understand the business, as we were saying earlier, but how do you connect it to all the moving parts that also include people, right? So I think of my good old friends over at marketing, and I know that's finance folks like our good old friends over at marketing and operations and legal, et cetera. How do you recommend that a modern finance leader, especially now with this technology, or when they start to implement this scenario-based modeling and forecasting, how do they build trust with the other leaders and groups within the organization?
First of all, they are your clients. Point number one.
Mm,
They are your clients and treated as your clients. In a very few industry, the finance team makes the money. No, we don't make money. Unless you're in a banking industry or something like that, right?
right.
But most of the standard industries, you don't make the money. You do the administration of the money. Then who makes the money is the sale team and the operation team and the production team at a lower cost.
Mm,
Make sure. I mean, the first thing that you have to is very. You have the normal bias to do what you like to do best.
right. It's comfortable.
You will try to come to the accounting. You have to make a conscious effort to start learning something different that the company needs. They are mentors. They are books.
Mm,
Your boss, what your boss need, what they sell your peers. Yes, they are your peers, but what they need. Think about them. Look them as a clients, not as a data generator so you can have your budget, right? This is to me the way to go. On the one who comes from the statutory. I came from the strategic planning. I came from the FP&A, and I learned the statutory.
mm.
That's why I like them so much.
I love it. You got to learn them from scratch. Well, you're a student, right? Not only do you have 30 plus years of experience, obviously a very impressive educational background, and your profession over the years and your climb to the CFO role, like many, we're us modern finance leaders out there are looking for mentors and books and different frameworks. What influenced you, or maybe it's influencing you today? Any book or framework or concept that's changing the way you're thinking about finance today?
As definitely the MBA, it gave me a turnaround. The Kellogg program, it was a great for me. It was a big opening the eyes. It's a continuous effort. A continuous effort. Never stop learning. I like. I as a planner, as a strategic planner, M&A, I knew that I was reading modern history of the countries that I was going to in M&A.
Hmm.
I don't have a specific book that I tell you, no, I read that. This changed something or made me going one way or the other. Is what the company need. Uh, Everybody is looking into the operation.
Mm.
You have to go abroad of the operation that impacts the company. Unless the company is struggling, but when you have a good team that is running operations, selling, so on and so forth, you are going on the external side. But again, I don't have a specific book or something, Albert. I say go and read that one. It's just an ongoing, and now more than ever, you have so many things that you out there on the
So much.
so much that you can learn that is just amazing, right?
Well, I know I was practicing my Spanish earlier, right? And I love your connection with Monterrey, Mexico. My dad's from, I think I mentioned this earlier, Chihuahua, Mexico, and obviously have roots in South America. What have you seen, right? You see this prevalence and this explosion of AI in the States, specifically in finance. What are things looking like? You have an international exposure and experience. What is going on in Mexico and South America? And for those listening, we have many that are listening from all throughout the world. But I do want to give my shout outs to those south of the states. What's going on in those countries, and how can we challenge those that are listening to go and explore more, to take more risks so that they're learning about AI and finance and modeling and forecasting?
I think from the personal point of view of this person is, I mean, the audience is the information is there.
Hmm.
Grab as much as you can. I think the world is just one world. Not 25 years ago was completely different and it's going like that. I think it's united economy. You see AI programmers all over the place. Uh, from the business point of view, there are big, great opportunities, but you have to learn your company, your strength, what are you good at, and then the target countries. I did that many years, many times, but there are opportunities I start looking into
So
and do the right diving.
excellent. Well, if you can give your younger self one piece of advice about strategic finance, what would it be?
Enjoy the ride. Don't worry that much.
I love
It's
that.
fun. At the end, it's fun. Honestly, uh, it's a great opportunity to enjoy what you do, study. Uh, in the case of AI, is math and statistics. It's gonna give you a big, a big chunk. And the other one, probably the one that I enjoyed also a lot, is mentor others.
So good.
Generate value. If you learn something, just share it. It's good to help. When you help, is great, and you are learning. Share that with others.
Excellent. Well, this was so good. I really appreciate this blend of technical, right, as well as practical use cases throughout our conversation. And I think you've given us all a different perspective, a different lens of how we rethink not just forecasting and modeling, but how we introduce AI and automation into it, right? But what you challenge us to do is continue to learn the fundamentals. Don't stray away and give it all up to this technology. It is a tool. It's not the solve. It is a tool to get even better, to reduce the variance, offer precision, while also reducing manual and giving a ton of speed. I love it. Well, this was amazing. Where can people learn more about you? And you have this upcoming webinar. Tell us more about that. I want to know. I'm going to be tuning in, so I want to know the dates. When can we listen?
I don't have it yet. I just received an invitation from the Chamber of Commerce of Bronzeville Chamber of Commerce and the Mexican Consulate in Bronzeville
Excellent.
to talk about again this webinar that we have, and this is the status. I don't have a date yet. I'll
We'll be
as soon
looking
as I
out.
know, I let you know.
Excellent.
And you say you were very nice and very savvy word. I mean, AI is a tool. You have the soul, and Valisights have a soul, right? And with that what impact, right? Is what we do with what we have, right? And
Absolutely.
mentor, you are mentoring a lot of people. Honestly, it's congrats for that one, Albert, and you and your team and everyone at Valisights.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we're trying to continue to spread some good knowledge, but also learn from many like you. I can't wait to get you and Paul Barnhurst in the same room. I think you all can offer so much value. So, Paul, if you're listening, let's get Marco on the FP&A guy podcast, and I think he has 3 of them now, and maybe going for a 4th. He's doing a great job. Well, you mentioned Valisights. As always, we always ask if anyone wants to experience what I call the future of finance, please go to www.valisights.com. We're so excited. Marco, this has been such a pleasure. I couldn't wait. I know it's been months, and we finally have arrived, and I continue to learn so much from you. I'm so impressed, and I really appreciate how humble and gracious you are. And to your point, you just love to serve. You love to learn, and you love to serve others and spread that knowledge, and we need more of you. So continue doing some great work, but this has been excellent. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. A pleasure. And God bless,
Yes, God
Albert.
bless you as well. This has been the Valisights Podcast. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Albert Ramos, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so
See
much.
you.